Hi everyone, I hope you're all well. Welcome back to the channel. I thought that this week I would share with you a video that I've been working on over the last few weeks. Now, last year I took the plunge and decided to become a coached athlete, and I did a fair amount of research on, well, a number of things on who to coach me, what I wanted from coaching, and I looked at a variety of groups and coaching teams, that kind of thing. I eventually signed up with Phil Ellison at Total Tri Training, and I wanted to put together a video detailing a little bit about how I found that since I'm now going into my second year with them and what I've got out of it. Now, if you follow my channel, you will know that I did a Meet My Coach video, and I'll put a link to that in the cards above. But that video really certainly put into perspective some of his principles of coaching and why I chose to work with him. Go check that video out if you're new around here. I know that Phil has a new member on his coaching team that actually came across that video, so I'm pleased it's helped others who may be thinking about going through the same sort of thought processes as I did. Total Tri Training are a UK triathlon coaching team predominantly based in the north of England, but they do have athletes all over the country. Now, I can go through what they offer, but you can read all of that on their website, and I'll add a link to that in the description below. So I want to give you an insight into the things that are not necessarily obvious and an honest view of how that year has gone from my point of view. Yes, I wanted structure, yes, I wanted plans, and someone who I could work with and relate to and understand me as an athlete. Now, that doesn't happen overnight. It takes time, and that whole coach and athlete relationship is a process all in itself. Now, when I speak of my experience, I'm speaking from one coach, although what I can tell you and what I can see is there is obviously a lot of work, planning, communication that happens amongst the head and senior coaches and the rest of the TTT team. The TTT coaches are spread across the country pretty much like their athletes, and they're growing. You can see that they're successful because of the growth. You can see that they certainly invest a lot of time in developing their coaches. And how do I know that? Well, I suppose I'm making an educated and an informed opinion based on what I'm experiencing and seeing as an athlete and as part of that team. And to back all of that up, you only have to look at the types of group workouts that are created, the testing that goes on, the choosing of particular courses on Zwift to do certain things, and the devising of particular workouts. Now, considering the spread of athletes across the UK, I do think it's a really good thing that they've got different coaches from different parts of the country. So one thing I think TTT do really well is on using the technology that's available to us as athletes and them as coaches. So things like Zwift, things like Training Peaks, Zoom, Discord, they're all available to us to bring athletes together to help one another, to work out together and to try to develop a sense of community. So how and what do I mean by that? Well, if we take a previous video that I recorded, and I'll put the link in here and I'll overlay some of that video.
Absolutely fine for now, but as you just said, once people get into the meat and potatoes of this session, there might be some heavy breathing.
So this is where we did a group workout together, utilising Zwift as the platform to ride together and follow a particular workout, which is all individual to our FTP levels. We also used Discord to communicate, and we had our coaches online which were there to talk us through the workout and share their knowledge, which I think is pretty valuable, particularly if you're a novice athlete or you are new to these types of workouts and you really don't know how to go about executing them. Now, I can't think of a better way to do it. Okay, maybe face to face, someone right next to you talking you through it would be, but that's just unrealistic for a lot of us. So as I said, these allow you to execute particular workouts and, which I think is important, teach you not to beat yourself up, particularly if you're not feeling your best or you're struggling on that particular day. Now, I never expected any of this, and Phil did mention that this was offered in our initial chat, but I was completely unaware that TTT did this. And really, it's something you don't really understand until you actually start taking part in. Now, I imagine that this probably evolved from our lockdown days, and I think that that shows you that this coaching team, it's willing to evolve. It's willing to try new things and make the experience and the access better for all their athletes. Now, one example that springs to mind is the recent TTT time trials and the Zwift races to get involved in as well. And this is something that I haven't personally taken a massive part in. I've taken part in one race only, but what a great way to break up the long winters and, you know, add a little bit of spice and engagement to your training. What I have learned this year from Phil and the team is that you have to continually learn about yourself as an athlete. And I think I'd be right in saying that TTT strive to educate their athletes so that we can make informed decisions, not just about our training, but on all aspects of triathlon. So things like kit, nutrition, strength and training, in order to, I suppose, make the right choices. I can honestly say that this year I've learned loads, and it really does make you consider the way that you do things, particularly if you're an athlete who's set in your ways and you've been doing certain things a certain way for a very long time. Two workshops really stand out for me, and I say workshops because this is an added bonus that you get with TTT. One was on nutrition, and it really made me evaluate what I consumed when racing, and has since improved this area for me. And the other I think that stood out was kit and how to go faster. So these regular Zoom meetups just shows you what a wealth of knowledge that exists amongst the Total Tri coaches, and that there's a willingness to share that. What is also great is having access to other athletes who may be in the same coaching group as you. You know, WhatsApp groups are set up, and it's a great way for coaches, teams to get to know one another. One thing I've really enjoyed this year is actually going to races and meeting some of my fellow athletes, particularly those ones that are in the same coaching group in the flesh, and, you know, sitting down, having a chat, having a beer. And I wouldn't say that the area that I live in, which is East London, is conducive to triathlon. You know, East London isn't an affluent area. Triathlon is an expensive sport, and there isn't much of a scene close to me. I'm lucky enough to be able to afford what I do, and coaching does come at an expense. However, yes, you are paying for your coach's time, but when you consider all the other aspects and the extras that I've mentioned, and for me, access to athletes is quite important, and sharing that common interest, especially as I'm limited with that kind of thing of where I am, it's a big draw for me. Now, I suppose what everyone really wants to know is, what has it done for my performance? And as I said earlier on in the video, these things don't happen overnight. You have to trust the process. If you don't, and you're always questioning things, there is just no point. You've got to trust in your coach and the process that they're laying out for you. For me, I see massive improvements and benefits in my running, and I've been able to manage load, particularly when I've had niggles and things going on, and having a coach who's physio based, you know, has been really beneficial to me, particularly with my injuries from my running background. So last year I had two great performances that really stood out. I think I had a third and a fourth in my age category in some shorter events, which was a complete surprise because I don't particularly enjoy the shorter events, and I never expected to do anything like I did in those. I also looked to my 70.3 performance and a massive PB at Ironman Staffs last year, and if it weren't for mechanicals, I would have smashed my 70.3 PB at the Cotswolds as well. But like I've said before, there are many parts that make up good performance, fitness just being one. But when you look at the knowledge that I've gained about nutrition and kit, then they're just other pieces of the puzzle that we're all trying to solve. Now, there's also lots of other things that TTT offer that I haven't had a chance to experience. The one thing that stands out are their camps away. They did a recent camp in Forteventura, I've done other camps in Lanzarote, and they look so appealing and quite self-indulgent things, I think, but unless I have a change of job, I'm always restricted to the school holidays. I'm never actually going to be able to experience that, which is unfortunate really. But I'm looking forward to a race in the Cotswolds this year where it looks as though there's going to be a huge contingent of TTT athletes there. It's just recently been organised, so I'm looking forward to that and meeting some new fellow athletes from the team, and again bringing athletes all together at a race from different parts of the country. What a great way to try and build community. I suppose I would like to see their athletes grow even further down south, and those that are London based or close to London are still pretty far from me. They're on the other side, which is still quite a pain to get to. London is quite a big place. That's a minor thing though, and time will tell what happens to this team, but I'd imagine it would grow. They are a northern based team, and therefore your core athletes are going to be from your situated area. And I know a lot of the coaches offer regular meetups, running sessions together, so an athlete who is probably based in the north or closer to their coach would have a slightly different experience than I do. But that for me is a small thing, because when you turn up for a race, usually you get there, you don't know anyone, you're kind of on your own, but in the distance sometimes you spot that pink and blue kit and instantly you know you have a companion, you know there is someone from the same coaching team as you. Maybe not in your own coaching group, but the same, Total Tri training team. And you also know that you're going to get cheered for by their supporters as well as your own. And yeah, I think that's a great thing. There's that camaraderie there, and you've got to love the TTT kit, right? It stands out. Now, signing up with TTT and Phil has saved me some considerable time. I was self-coached before I did this, and I would spend a lot of my evenings session planning and reviewing things, and you'd always question whether what you were doing is right. So I certainly have my evenings back now, and I don't have to do any of that, and I've added accountability with having a coach who can question things and do all the analysing for me. And that is something I really like about being coached by Phil. I have access to him within reason whenever I want. There are no restrictions or specific times I have to stick to when I want to communicate or contact him. I can message him, I can pick up the phone, we can call, do all those kind of things. And Phil is a full-time coach, so yeah, access is probably a little bit simpler for him, whereas a lot of coaches have other jobs as well. But that was a big draw for me, having that access and not being limited as to when or a particular time that I could only communicate with them. Now, I can't say that that's the same for all coaches for TTT, but what I would say is there's certainly an openness there and are willing to help you whenever they can. So guys and girls, I've pretty much given you my thoughts, and I suppose you could call this a small review of my coaching team. Some will probably say I'm biased, and yes, that's probably true, but you have to be in it, you have to experience it if you want to review it. So I would certainly say that if you're thinking about being coached, or you want to take your performance and your training to the next level, then do consider Total Tri Training, because they're a great team with a great bunch of coaches. I also know there is loads I still probably haven't experienced with them. I've only been with them a year. I might do another follow-up video to this sometime in the future, but why not go check this team out, go check the website out, find out a little bit more. I'll put some links down below. I do hope you've enjoyed that video, guys. Do hit me up a like if so, and if you're new around here, you can always hit that sub button as well. I will see you all very soon in the next one.